I want to share personal commentary, as I always do, about the concept of enjoying the show, which we've been reminded to do by Q. Um, uh, the important awareness is that there is a show going on, that in many ways what we're seeing play out in the political sphere is staged. How that's effected, I don't know because I'm not running the show, but I do believe there are patriots and white hats behind the scenes being the puppet masters now. There were dark puppet masters previously, but now we have good guys and gals running the show worldwide in some magnificent fashion. Um, that being said, what I want to address is the enjoyability of this show. We are watching the destruction of the old guard. We are watching the Illuminati, the cabal, the deep state being exposed daily. And while this is a massive planetary, and some would say galactic and universal endeavor, because planet Earth is intrinsically tied with all of creation, the mystery of life is just that, but it's certainly bigger than our own little lives and our own little planet. Our planet is important in ways that we can't fathom, But I've heard this said many times, that the Earth plays a unique role in universal evolution, and I'm willing to believe that, because being here is hard. It's very challenging to be a human being and to learn how to balance your physical needs, your personal needs, your personality, with our social environment, family, friends, finances. It's complicated. It's a lot being an adult, which is why some people check out by doing drugs and getting involved in addictions that sort of give them the excuse not to participate in the way that one might. And everyone's soul journey is unique. It's easy to judge, but only their soul knows why they're here this time. And being out of it, being an addict, it may well play in their soul's growth and the soul's growth of everyone around them, including their family and friends and co-workers. We all learn from each other's stories because we all interact. But I don't know if you can hear the buzzing, the drilling. I think someone is sanding their floor. This is quiet. When someone is renovating, I've heard at least 20 hardcore renovations in the last 10, 15 years that were mind-boggling. But this show is long, and I joked to someone who didn't get the joke, and I'm like, it's longer than Shoah, which I believe was a 9-hour documentary about the Holocaust. Can you imagine anything more fun than that? Watching that. I actually got tickets. I studied theater in London when I was a teenager at the National Youth Theatre of Great Britain with Colin Firth, by the way. He was in my group. We did a play together called The Children's Crusade, and he was very talented back then and very sweet. He's in the Illuminati now, there's no doubt about that. Anyone who's that massively successful, and he, along with all other successful actors, flash these signs of their involvement in this group. And we can only guess. We have some dark intimations of what they do, but only the members really know what they do. We just know that they make these symbols, which some of them are Masonic in nature. We know that they're involved. It's who you know is what they say about showbiz, and it's absolutely true. Why did I mention London? I forget. I'm going to leave that right now. Enjoy the show. We were given tickets to see too many shows. 5 shows at the National Theatre in one day. 5 shows. Stratford-on-Avon, Shakespeare. We saw 2 shows in one day. Too much. One Shakespeare show in one day can be too much. But Nicholas Nickleby was a 9-hour show. Showa may be 13 hours. I don't know. It's just long. But Nicholas Nickleby was in 2 parts. And the first part was 4 or 4.5 hours, and the second part was about the same. Meryl Streep was in the audience, which of course I was thrilled by because I was a teenager and she was already a star. But the seats were velvet and tiny and really old. I don't recall what the theater was. I believe it was on the West End. And honestly, I hadn't read Nicholas Nickleby, but if I did, I wouldn't have read it all in one day. And I sure as heck wasn't going to see. I walked out after the first 4 hours. I was not enthralled, not thrilled with it, but enjoying the show. So we're not really enjoying this show. It's long, it's drawn out. We're dealing with inflation. We're dealing with hard things that are unfurling around us in real time. You know, this is a 3D movie in Sense-Around. It's scratch and sniff. We're living this movie even though it's fabricated in many ways. And I do believe we're safe, although on a daily basis we have to deal with rising prices. I mean, there's some things you can't escape. I live in liberal New York City. People's erratic and violent behavior has been inescapable for me as someone who chose not to wear a mask in my apartment building and on the street. Took a lot of flack from that. And that was my choice. I refused to back down to accommodate other people's fears and tyranny and fascism. So this is long. This is hard. You know, for the most part, I'm for a lot of the time, I'm not enjoying the show. And I know I'm not alone because we're waiting for big booms. We're waiting for an arrest, an indictment. And I know, and it's exhilarating when you find out daily big things are happening. Absolutely, unquestioningly, and given the worldwide scale of what has to happen and unfold and unfurl, you know, Twitter and Elon Musk, this is like the new As the World Turns, right? This is a soap opera unfolding what's going on. You know, you don't have to be a financial expert to know that he also he's a very smart guy, this Elon, and I do believe he, as excited as I was when I was a liberal about his Tesla and his genius, I do believe he was a dark player for a long time, and his involvement in AI, which I wasn't following, but I believe he's working for the good guys now, not by choice. They've all been caught. You know, the white hats have these people by the short hair, so if they want to live, if they want to continue, they have to play ball with the light team that is now transitioning this planet from dark to light. So I just want to acknowledge how hard this is for all of us in different ways. You know, people have loved ones that are sick and dying. We all have different challenges. And the Great Awakening, again, doesn't change that. You know, people who say Trump should protect us or the white hats should protect us, or God, that's not the nature of physical life. Physical life is transient, vulnerable, and you have to take care of your body and your mind. That's why I focus in these videos. How do you stay sane? That ultimately is our biggest job, you know, because it's not possible to enjoy the show all the time. So I find when I am happiest is actually when I retreat into myself, let go of the drama, let go of the news, go within, get involved in my creativity. I have many versions of it, from visual arts to writing, journaling, to just puttering in my house. I work from home, so my home is my castle and my haven, and you know, making sure I get out of the house. I just joined a new gym, and just exercising has been such a boon. You know, dogs need walks and people need exercise. You need to move your body in some fashion. So cut yourself a break if you are feeling down and dejected, because this wait for big booms and action can feel interminable. I read enough predictions that meant a lot to me. One, it won't always be boring, because right now it's like watching paint dry. Two, when things really get going, our heads are going to spin, and we're going to be excited by what's going on, but we're not even at the chaotic part yet. You know, we are not at the chaotic part where some of these big reveals, and they're going to be incremental. You know, I think arrests and political corruption and the corruption of the MSM is going to be the first, but then we're going to get into the darker stuff about the invisible enemy, about the occult, about the Satanism and the pedophilia. That is going to blow the minds of normies. Lucky for us, some of us are willing to acknowledge the dark and not be freaked out by it. It's disturbing, but if there's a serial killer living in my neighborhood or my building, I want to know. I don't hide from that stuff. Knowing your enemy is the first step in empowering yourself. So, cutting yourself a break, allowing you don't have to be cheerful all the time. It's not possible, and you don't have to cheer other people up. It's not possible either. So many people are like, I'm trying to wake them up. You cannot wake other people up. They will wake up, if ever, in their own time. That's why understanding energy and the occult, which just means hidden, doesn't mean evil, understanding that we are energetic and vibrational beings and that you influence everyone around you whether or not you open your mouth. You have a presence. You know this. You know when someone with a positive energy walks in a room. You know when someone with a malevolent energy walks in the room. And if you're smart, you take action based on that. I move away from lunatics because there are deranged, violent people in New York. I am super cautious these days because everything is so volatile. So I'm always looking around. It's like I'm in Vietnam. I'm looking 360 all around at all times because you don't know who's behind you. Bicycles lunging in. It's a free-for-all. Bicycles right on the sidewalk now. New York is chaotic. It's in disarray. It's in decay. On the bright side, I know that it is going to build up, but we're bottoming out. We're bottoming out, and we're not at the turnaround yet. We haven't even reached bottom yet. We have to reach bottom so that by November we have that red wave. And we will. Of that, I'm confident. I was hoping the red wave would hit last November with Curtis Lewa getting elected. He already is the mayor of New York. He's a terrific person, and he does things for the city every day, unpaid, unlike our current corrupt mayor who lives in New Jersey and shouldn't be the mayor and shouldn't have been the Brooklyn borough president when you live in New Jersey, among other crimes. But at any rate, when you realize, the Indian have an epic story called the Mahabharata, we are living out an epic story. This great awakening is an epic, and we each have a part to play. But you're of no use if you lose faith altogether. I know people who have lost faith in Trump and in Q and whatever. That's your choice. Or in God. God is not saving us. Jesus is not coming back to save us. Jesus taught people how to be more, how to actualize themselves and activate the Christ within. And I firmly believe this is our goal. This is our job, is to the best of your ability, go within, do what it takes to nurture yourself to regain equilibrium. I was feeling low before I did this, and I'm actually feeling better now because I am expressing myself. I'm communicating. This is a form of relief, talking, but also I feel there's value in what I'm saying and reaching out to like-minded people who might glean some insight from this. Do something to break up the mood. If it's crying, then cry. Crying is a release, just like going to the bathroom is a release. Exhaling is a release. Slowing down is a release. Take a break, take a nap. Laughter is amazing. So if I'm able to laugh at quirky things, I'm very playful, I'm very childlike in many ways, and that is how I stay sane. And, crayons, I bought these crayons a long time ago. They don't even make them anymore. They're from Springfield, Mass, where my mom was born. And what are they called? True Tone, no roll. Is a crayon rolling a real problem? It has a flat bottom, so it won't roll away. But I had them in this box, pristine, because I like looking at beautiful things and colors, like for at least 20 years, maybe longer. And I'm like, what good are they in a box? Why would you buy crayons to stay in a box? So I pulled them out. I have tons of paper. I have tons of art supplies. And one of the ways I've been keeping myself sane is also using what I have, using up what I have. What good is art supplies or cooking supplies if they're sitting in your pantry or they're sitting on your shelves? Use them, create something, eat them, enjoy them. I make doodles and I put them around my house and I enjoy them, and then I recycle them. I'm not attached to them. The important thing for me is to enjoy the process of creation, of releasing, of taking stock of what I have, of using what I have. And that does lift my mood. It does. You can't watch the news 24/7, and so much of it is fake. And even if you're following Patriot News or Q News, which has unique insights, there's just so much of that you can follow too before your eyes cross and you're like, but I'm still waiting for the booms. You know, one of these days things will change. And spiritually seeking, there's one channeler I follow who said there are 5 phases to this Great Awakening. We are not even in phase 2 yet. We're not even in phase 2. So this is a long process. This is like Showa. This is like Nicholas Nickleby. And you know what? When you get bored, walk out like I did. And I never saw Showa, and I never would. Why would I watch something that depressing? And I am certainly not a Holocaust denier. My father fought in World War II. He was a pilot and a navigator and bombed the heck out of Germany. And, but you don't, just because you know things are bad doesn't mean you have to mire yourself in them. So this is the trick, learning that balance point between knowing things and getting immersed in them to the point where you become angry, depressed, you want revenge, you're fed up, because that energy does not uplift the planet. That energy doesn't help the Great Awakening. It doesn't help your ascension process spiritually. So remember, we're physical, we're emotional, we're mental, we're spiritual. We're also political these days. And again, that's what this great country was designed for, so that people actively participated in and ran their government and didn't leave it to corrupt bureaucrats or politicians. Government of, by, and for we the people. I don't want a future in politics. It's not going to be for everyone, but you have to pay attention. And people have to get more involved now as they're realizing what's happening to their children in public schools, school boards, standing up for your rights for medical freedom, standing up for your right of free speech, your Second Amendment. You know, we're losing the freedoms we were guaranteed by our founding fathers and our Constitution. So if we don't protect it, if we don't hold the line, if we don't maintain and we don't fight back in some way, if we don't become active participants, we lose. So do your best, cut yourself some slack, and if you're not enjoying the show, enjoy your own show, and then you can get back in the game.